To me, the trifecta of success is you're healthy, wealthy, and in love, and you're getting healthier, wealthier, and more in love. And that is possible. It's just so rare.
Welcome to Climbing the Corporate Ladder Without Breaking a Heel. I'm your host, Dr. Cynthia. With over 30 years in the corporate world as a single mom, cancer survivor, and often the only woman in the C-suite, I understand the balancing act high-achieving women face. Now an executive coach and international speaker, my mission is to embolden every woman in the C-suite or on the rise to claim her agency and challenge the norms holding her back. Tailored for ambitious professional women, this show features candid conversations with powerful business leaders sharing their real stories of success and failure. If you're ready to look up and step up, you're in the right place. Join us and invest in your future today. Hello and welcome back to Climbing the Corporate Ladder Without Breaking a Heel. I'm your host and your coach, Dr. Cynthia. I want to start today with something I think every high-achieving woman has felt, but very few have been given permission to name. You've done the work, you've climbed the ladder, you have the results, the title, the income, and the recognition, but somewhere in the middle of all of it, a quiet question keeps showing up. Is this it? Not a crisis, not a complaint, just a signal, a gap between who you are and who you are still capable of becoming. That gap is where my guest today has built his life's work around closing. Alan Lazaros is the founder and CEO of Next Level University, a global top 100 podcast with more than 2,300 episodes, a little envious, over 1 million listens in 180 plus countries, and a 7-figure business built entirely on the conviction that we are all capable in the long term of more than we realize. Boy, can I relate to that. He is a computer engineer by background. He has an MBA. He entered the top 1% earners in corporate America in his 20s. And then, after a near fatal car accident at age 26, he discovered that external success without that internal fulfillment is just a very polished version of empty. Boy, that's a quotable line. He has accumulated more than 12,000 hours of coaching, training, and podcasting. His approach is heart-driven, no nonsense, and systems-based, which makes him exactly the right kind of guest for the show. Please welcome to Climbing the Corporate Ladder Without Breaking a Heel, Alan Lazaros. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me. Gratitude, 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 and strong work on that intro. That was one of the best I've ever heard.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you so much. I spend a fair amount of time researching my guests. I'm so privileged that the folks like yourself who have such amazing backgrounds and are touching so many lives globally are willing to spend some of their time on the show and share their wisdom. So really excited to have you. I want to start back at the origin story, which you are so open about sharing. Before the accident that we mentioned in the intro, you're in the top 1% of earners in corporate America at age 26. That's a feat in and of itself. What was going on then? Maybe the signal, the gap that you perhaps didn't have words to even name until later. I'm
Yeah.
curious about that part of your life.
So I did the traditional path, as you mentioned. It was, preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, corporate. The game gets a little bigger each time, and then you go from your graduate school to basically, okay, now I'm in corporate, so now it's global. And I think the whisper that you're referring to was kind of exactly what you mentioned, which is I'm winning, quote unquote. I'm more successful than pretty much all my peers, at least at my age,
Right.
but I don't really feel fulfilled. And I didn't have that word necessarily.
Yeah.
The way that I actually frame this, it's kind of like I think I was like 21 or 22, and my mom and I had a little argument, and she said, like, why does intelligence matter so much to you? Like, why isn't it enough to just be nice? I remember thinking that's kind of a dumb question, but I said, what's the difference between a smartphone and a dumb phone? The smartphone is more capable. It can do more.
Yeah.
And I said this exact quote, and this is still kind of my younger ego version of the same thing I do today, which is I said, Mom, I'm trying to figure out the formula to not end up old and miserable like everybody else.
Oh.
Because quite frankly, and I playfully refer to where I grew up as the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I mean, I looked around. I was a kid and I looked around and it was like, listen, born and raised in Massachusetts, it's not like it was horrible or anything. It
Mhm.
was just like everyone hates their job. Marriage scared the hell out of me because you don't even like each other, never mind love each other.
Right.
And I looked around and I just saw really unhappy, unfulfilled people. There were no like goal achieving, purpose driven, energized, excited for goals and dreams, conscientious adults living their best life. Like that, not even
Yeah.
a little bit. There was a lot of running amok, what I call it now. In the 90s, a lot of people made a lot of money, and it was like big kids with money is what I call it. And now I'm 37, and I realize that a lot of those people were really emotionally immature, and they never really worked on themselves. And
Right.
so when I was in corporate, I had that whisper of like, this cannot be it because I had the beautiful girlfriend. I had 160 grand in a Vanguard account. I paid off 84 grand worth of college debt in a single year. I had, I had my boss and my boss's boss, and I was headed on that path, to be eventually at the top of the company type of thing. And I also want to clarify. So global 1% earner was global, not US. So
Okay.
I made almost 200 grand a year, which back then was globally top 1%, but
Yes.
the US 1% was like 350 back then. So I just want to make
Okay. Okay, fair. We're a little splitting hairs at this
you
point,
know it,
but
you know it.
yeah,
I have
accuracy.
I have a new goal in life recently. I want to be the least full of it person on earth. It's my new goal. So
Yeah,
candor is everything. So I just wanted to jump
I
in and
love
say that
it.
because I think the internet is full of a lot of people that are maybe embellishing and overly
Mhm.
validating and all this kind of stuff. So that's why you said the no nonsense. So that's what
Yeah.
I would say is before the car accident, I had the whisper, but I wasn't listening to it yet.
Yes. So then take us through. You have this near-death experience
Yeah.
and obviously an awakening at that point. Was that when you kind of said life is too short? You also mentioned very publicly you lost your father at only age 2,
Hmm.
also from a car accident as I
Yeah.
yeah.
So for context, when I was 2 years old, my birth father, John McCorkle, died in a car very suddenly. And so when I was 26, I got in my car accident. Sorry, new mic arm.
Gotcha. No worries.
Yeah, you know the deal.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, so essentially, when I was 26, I got in a car accident, head-on collision that was my fault,
Mm,
and it was not a fender bender. This is 30 miles an hour, head-on collision. My fault. I crossed the double yellows, and I hit a lift-kitted pickup truck that kind of went up and over my car.
mm,
Fortunately, no one was killed because that would have been entirely on me. I mean, I was supposed to
sure.
yield, but didn't. The yield sign was covered by the snowbanks. And fortunately, I was driving a 2004 Volkswagen Passat, which I used to call the tank. So this was a German-engineered steel trap of a car. That car
Yeah.
totally saved my life.
Ugh,
And I refuse to drive cars that aren't like super safe now.
yeah.
But that was sort of the second chance my dad never got. And that was 11 years ago. And from that moment to now, the promise I made to myself was you will do all you can with all you have to reach your full potential and help others do
Mm,
the same. And it's evolved over the years, but essentially what it has been is like, Alan, you've done great. Congratulations. Like, awesome. And this is my inner dialogue because I rested on talent a lot. Like, school
mhm,
came easy to me. I got straight A's in high school without having to try that hard.
mhm,
And quite frankly, I didn't put it all on the court. I was spread too thin. I was hanging out with people I shouldn't have been, partying too much. And the truth now, I grew up with a traumatic childhood for sure, to a whole nother
sure.
degree. And I didn't really face my past, and I was probably running from it. And I thought success would solve my problems. And
Mhm,
ultimately, when my stepdad left, we were broke. And he left when I was 14. So from 3 to 14, which is basically the early 90s to the early 2000s, I had a stepfather named Steve Lazaros, and I took his last name around age 7. And so from 14, I became the man in the house, quote unquote, and I just decided to be like this super achiever. Subconsciously, unconsciously, and a little bit consciously, it was like, okay, it's
right.
going to be lawyer, politician, president, or it's going to be engineer, MBA, CEO.
Yeah.
Obviously, I chose that one.
Right.
And back then, I researched this. The
There's still
80% of the
time, Alan. You could still go the other direction.
I we can't have that conversation right now. You're funny. We'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back then, 80% of the Fortune 500 CEOs were engineering undergrad MBA combo. So that was my Steve Jobs versus Bill Gates and the
Right.
whole thing, right? So that was my dream, and I did it. But then when I got in the car accident, I realized that what I'm really here for is leading by example and reaching my full potential and helping other people do the same. And that's the coaching, training, and podcasting. I saw TED Talk by Tony Robbins that he did when he was 45. And I'm not necessarily a huge fan. I respect him. And I definitely think his impact on the world has been very positive.
Mm.
But like, I was just young 11 years ago and naive. And I was like, okay, I want to do my version of that. And
Mhm.
it's just over the years, I've realized I'm going to do very much my version of that and not his
Yes.
version, the jumping up and down and all that. But what I will say is Kevin's my business partner and we're co-hosts. We both have, as you mentioned, 2,300 episodes. We're actually about to be at 2,500. He is a podcaster who tolerates coaching. I'm a coach who tolerates podcasting. And what I mean by that is I'm just a coach. Like, even when I was a kid, I was so coachy. And a lot
Mhm.
of people say that like it's a bad thing. And it is if you do it wrong.
Sure.
You probably don't think it is. But I've always been so coachy. And I think that why is just like, I don't understand why people don't have goals and dreams. I can't
Mhm.
even fathom. To me, life wouldn't even be worth living
Right.
without goals and dreams. And so the last thing I'll say is based on the research I did for my master class, we do master classes every month. And only 4% of people have clear written goals based on the research. And I thought, what? I've had clear written goals since I was 7. Like that's,
Mhm.
and so what does that tell me? It tells me people don't believe in themselves. And so that's what I focus on. I help people believe in themselves and build self-efficacy and self-belief, which is essentially the same thing.
Sure.
And once you believe in yourself, you'll go for more. And when you go for more, yes, you'll fail more, but you'll learn more. And you can rise. And
Yeah.
that's how the world changes. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like we were separated at birth by a couple generations, but or at least a generation, because everything you're saying is just so, I'm a student of positive psychology. It's all about
Yeah.
talent and potential and how do you unleash your full potential.
Hmm.
And potential is something that like a muscle, right? If you don't exercise it, it atrophies. The
Hmm.
beautiful thing is the more you exercise it, the exponential success and opportunity, which leads me to you talk a lot and you've already alluded to the difference between success and fulfillment.
Hmm.
And I mean, I know the answer to this question, but can you have both? Because what you described is highly successful, not terribly fulfilled. I believe that people can be somewhat fulfilled, maybe with not having the numeric successes that,
Yeah.
we dream about in America. But
Yeah.
talk about that beautiful opportunity to combine them both and what that looks like and feels like.
Yeah. So I actually, I think that you can have both for sure. And they should feed each other.
Yeah.
I say should. If you do it right, they should feed each other. But I actually think very few people do.
Mhm.
And that's been hard
Agree.
for me to see. I coach 39 people. It's been hundreds over the years. I call it my magic number, 7,328 coaching sessions as of yesterday. And I have one right after this. What I've learned from people all over the world, coaching them, trying to help them achieve their goals and dreams, is almost everyone is one or the other. Almost no one has both. And that's been
Mhm.
really hard. So some people come to me, they're already successful, but they aren't fulfilled. And they
Mhm.
just want to figure out why. And it's usually because their business is not aligned with who they want to be and who they are. Right.
Right.
And then the other person is super fulfilled. They have a great family. They know themselves. They're self-aware. They're into personal development and they're wonderful human beings, but they don't know the economy at all. They
Yeah.
don't know how to be successful in corporate and in career development. And they don't have a good resume. They don't even have a LinkedIn. And in my head,
Right.
it's like, how could you not have a LinkedIn? So uh, the 4 buckets of life is what I call them. Bucket 1 is where we all start, which is you are unsuccessful and unfulfilled. And I'll use me as an example, but I want everyone thinking of themselves. When
Mhm.
I was 16 years old, I was a cart kid and a busboy for a golf course called Crystal Lake. And I was making minimum wage. I was very unsuccessful statistically. And I was deeply unfulfilled, wildly unfulfilled, very unhappy overall
Right.
for
Right.
many reasons that we won't get into on this podcast. But yeah, so unfulfilled and unsuccessful, bucket one. Congrats, that's where everyone starts. Some
Yeah.
people never make it out of that bucket. The second bucket is now I'm really successful. So at one point it was like commission checks 12 grand every other week, and I don't have a mortgage. I don't have kids. Like, it was just crazy. It was, and
Yeah.
this is back then, right? So
Yeah.
I was just so much.
Multipliers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was great. But I was unfulfilled. So I was successful externally, and I had the status and the perception and the degrees and all that, but I was internally unfulfilled and putting on a little bit of a show that I was happy when I wasn't. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's important for
Mhm.
everyone to realize. The people who appear happy are not necessarily happy. Now I'm like way more fulfilled than I've ever been in my entire life. And if anything, it's like hard not to dim that down because I want to
Yeah.
fit in, right? It's belonging
Right.
theory. But anyways, okay. So the third one is I actually started my own company, Alan Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know. I was a podcaster, a trainer, and a coach, and I started my own company. I wanted to bring personal development to the masses. Terrible idea. And good luck getting speeches at high schools and colleges with that tagline, right? And I was okay, and I was a fitness model, fitness competitor, fitness coach, just living my best life, but I went broke.
Mm.
I went broke.
Mhm.
I'm not the first one to
Mhm.
start a company and go broke, right?
Right.
Liquidated all my assets, bootstrapped the company from the ground up and went broke. So now I'm in the third bucket, which is you're deeply fulfilled. You
Mhm.
actually authentically love who you are and you respect who you are and you have
Right.
self-belief and self-worth now, but you're not winning externally. So now
Right.
you can't sustain it. A lot of people are there.
Yeah.
They have the family they want, maybe they are in the marriage they want, but they don't know how to make money. And they don't
Mhm.
know how to invest money to make money, and it's a whole thing. And then you've got other people that know everything about finance and money and make tons of it, but they're not fulfilled at all
Right.
internally. And so the fourth bucket is the hardest one to get to. And this is the one I didn't get to until I was in my 30s. And this is I am internally deeply fulfilled. I actually love who I am. I have high self-belief and high self-worth and high self-respect. Most importantly,
Mhm.
self-respect. And I make a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I reinvest that money to make even more money. And I don't mean just invest in the stock market. I mean bootstrap the company, reinvest in team, delegation, the whole nine. And we can get into that if you want to. But
Right.
ultimately, it's bucket one, bucket two, bucket three, bucket four. Almost nobody gets to bucket four.
Right.
And that really depresses me. And it's like,
Mhm.
why? The reason why is because we're living a life. It's almost like one or the other. Some people are like, well, quality of life matters so much to me. And the other side of the coin is achievement matters so much to me. So you have all these
Mhm.
super achievers that achieve everything, but they're not fulfilled. And then you have these fulfilled people, but they can't really expand and buy the home they want or the car they want
Yeah.
because so it's almost like personal development and professional development, and almost no one has both because the gold is buried where you least want to dig. For me, I was
Yeah.
professionally developed up for crazy, and then
Right.
personal development is what I needed. And
Yeah.
some people are personally developed as hell, self-aware, the whole nine, but they don't know how to flourish in the global economy. They don't know
Right.
there's 195 countries, 8.3 billion people on Earth, 6 billion on the internet. They don't know tech. And if you don't
Yes.
know tech, like how are you supposed to flourish? So my job is to identify where someone, because the last piece, I'll get off the soapbox here. You are not more successful because you don't believe in you don't believe enough in what you already believe. The internet is so overly validating. It's like you're not more successful because you have a massive blind spot.
Mm.
You think inaccurately about yourself, others, or the world. My job is to identify the bottleneck, the constraint theory. This is constraint theory. So what's the limiting factor? The limiting factor for some people is you're just a coward. I am too. I get it. Like social cowardice. You aren't willing to put yourself out there.
That's right.
Okay. Some people, you just don't know much. Like you have to learn the economy, read an economics book. Some people, it's like finance. You don't know anything about finance, but yet you want financial freedom. And I put that in
Mhm.
quotes. So at the end of
Mhm.
the day, my job as a coach is to identify the immediate constraint based on your goals, not mine. And when you target the constraint and then rectify it repeatedly, in a moment you do that, there's another constraint because that's life. But I always say this is next level university, not complacency university.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Well, my thought leadership we've talked about is about drift, and drift is the being out of alignment in any part of your human
Yeah.
flourishing because it's either complacent, right? It's just you're so focused on only one part of your life that everything else is on autopilot. Sometimes it's avoidant. That's where we get into that coward. I don't want to. I'm just going to avoid that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's incremental. We sort of excuse the things one thing at a time rather than realizing that there's a pattern developing.
Yeah.
Um, when you think about success, we talked a lot about money and economics, which I 100% agree with, and your coming up and my coming up are not all that dissimilar. Although I have been very blessed to spend a good majority of my life in the fourth bucket. I think that's an exception.
Nice.
Um, but when you think about success for the woman listening, is that up to the individual's interpretation? In other words, if wealth is
Yeah.
not their interpretation of success, say more about that.
Well, so, I have my definition, and I would like to believe that it's, it is unique to everyone, but the principles apply to everybody. So let's say
Perfect.
that, like,
Yeah,
the way you apply the principles are dependent on you, your goals, your dreams, your circumstances, your core
sure.
values. However, everyone wants to be healthier, wealthier, and more in love.
Yes.
And I've
Yeah.
tried to find these universal things, like, to me, the trifecta of success is you're healthy, wealthy, and in love, and you're getting healthier, wealthier, and more in love. And that
Mhm.
is possible. It is, it's just so rare. Like,
It is.
I still live in Massachusetts, and I go for a walk, and I feel it's like people are really struggling to be healthy. Like, you know, uh, it just makes me sad. It's not a lack of awareness, right? You can Google how to get healthy.
Yeah.
And that's why I say this: knowledge is not power, but behavior change is. If you can't change your behavior, you're stuck.
Mhm.
And I told my team, I said, I want to become the best on earth at changing people, helping people change their behavior. And so, behavioral analyst and CBT and IFS and all these different modalities. And it's like, how do you actually change your behavior? Because ultimately, that's what we're talking about here. No one can change your life unless you change something that you do consistently.
Right.
And success is unique to each of us, but everyone, I think, should go for health, wealth, and love.
Mhm.
Maybe the syntax is different. Maybe love matters more to you than wealth. Maybe
Right.
wealth matters more to you than love. But everyone wants to be healthy, wealthy, and in love. And to me, that's the trifecta. And I think I always say one is too few, five is too many.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to do health, wealth, love,
Yeah.
I mean, healthy, wealthy, and in love, let me break down the numbers. I'm an engineer. So if you're top 1% in health, if you're top 1% in love, and if you're top 1% in wealth, you are 1 in a million. It's 1 over 100 times 1 over 100 times 1 over 100. You are literally
Wow.
1 in a million. Is that possible? Yes, absolutely. But
Right.
it's brutal. You
Yeah.
can't wanna be healthy, wealthy, and in love and be like, "I hope it's easy." It's awful. Like, it's genuinely an every single day thing. It's the best, but you basically can't neglect any area ever. And that's what I saw growing up is everybody was one of the 3. Nobody was 3 out of 3. Nobody. And
100%.
so I dedicated my life to making sure that I'm the at least leading by example and trying to be 3 out of 3. And right now it's going very well. So
I think of it as a balance board because
Mhm.
everything you're saying is how I think about drift, right? It's like I'm so focused on my career that I'm not focused on relationships. I'm so
Mhm.
focused on, my financial growth that maybe I'm putting something else on the back burner. I'm not working out or I'm not eating healthy or whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, so I have two follow-up questions, but let me make a statement and I'll come back to it. What I heard you say is it's all about intentionality, right?
Mhm.
You have to be if you're on a balance board, you might never have it completely flat, right? Gravity and all the things.
You never will.
Right,
You
but if
never
you're
will.
leaning too far where you're gonna fall off the balance board,
Mhm.
you're over-indexing on health or wealth or love, and you need to kinda get that back in some kinda equilibrium. But what
Yeah.
but y one of the things that you said that struck me is that around this behavioral change, because as a social psychologist and somebody that spent a lot of years in organizational design and is behavioral change, how does the person listening without having to have a near-death experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
Have the awakening that says, I need to listen to the signals. I need to be more aware that this is falling short and I am unfulfilled and I'm just continuing to move in a direction that is not advancing.
The best way to change your life, there's 2 answers. The internal one is self-efficacy, which
Mhm.
is the layman's term is self-belief,
Mhm.
and there's a formula to build it. So it's state-proof self-assigned. You can't build belief unless it's premeditated. What I mean by that is you have to set a small goal and then hit it and then
Mhm.
self-assign it.
Right.
Whereas my business partner was really great at baseball, but he never decided in advance to get great at baseball. So he ended up not building self-belief because he just stumbled upon it. Whereas
Mhm.
I decided in advance. So we realized later on that I had a lot of self-efficacy and he didn't, and we figured out why. And it's because I never do anything unless I decide to do it first. So like I decided to be a podcaster before I was a podcaster. I decided to get straight A's before I got straight A's. I decided to go to WPI before I went to WPI. Like that's something achievers do. They decide in advance, even though they sound full of it. Some of them actually do decide and intend and then do, and they
Right.
build self-efficacy. So that's number one. Number two, and this is the quicker one, but it's very uncomfortable. If you're out there and you're not super fulfilled and you're not living your best life, first of all, you know it. You know
Yeah.
it. You just got to sit with yourself and go, yeah, okay. Now, a lot of people are full of it, so you got to be careful with this. But if you do actually get around someone who is like does believe in themselves, does love their life, is deeply fulfilled, turning their passion to purpose into profit, who is actually crushing, and I mean really crushing, not nonsense, not just on social media, but in real life.
Right.
If you get around someone in real life who's like actually deeply fulfilled, it will be such a massive mirror. It'll be super uncomfortable. But it will rub off on you. And you
Mm.
can kind of look at what are they doing that I'm not? And one of the things that I think is a really powerful way to understand something is to invert it. So if you wanted to make sure you weren't fulfilled, what would you do? You'd have to drink alcohol, you'd have to do drugs, you'd have to surround yourself with the worst people, you'd
Right.
have to be inconsistent, you can't be consistent, you'd have to watch trash TV, like I have this list of the next level top 10 distractions, and it's drugs, alcohol, pornography, all these different things that are just wildly toxic.
Mhm.
And you can't have a rich, dynamic, positive, flourishing life of health, wealth, and love while doing those things.
Right.
So I had to quit drinking. For me, that was mine. And I haven't drank in 7.5 years. June 29th of
Yeah.
2019. So about to be 7 years. It's
Congratulations.
actually over 7 years. Yeah, it's over 7 years.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. But and again, like, well, Alan, you were fine and it was fun. And it's like, listen, you don't understand. I had to do that to achieve my dreams. Because
Mhm.
everyone's like, well, you weren't an alcoholic and you were fine and you were achieving. Look, you were so successful. Why does it,
Right.
what one drink isn't going to hurt? It's like, listen, that's the wrong mentality. The right mentality isn't one drink's not going to hurt. The right mentality is I'm going to do all I can with all I have, and
Mm.
I'm going to make positive choices, and I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to keep getting up better. And that balance beam metaphor that you used, you're going to fall off it. You're going to fall off it. How
Right.
quickly do you get back on, and do you identify why you fell off and then rectify that?
Mhm.
Because there is no one who like goes to bed fulfilled and then wakes up fulfilled, and then in the middle of the day they're fulfilled too. Like they love who they are and they are fulfilled, but it's not easy. And so this is the metaphor. Get around someone who is happy, healthy, wealthy, and in love, and it will be such a big mirror that you'll realize that you're not and that this is
Mhm.
possible. And then study and observe who they are and what they do. And what you'll find is that there's a price to be paid. There's a sacrifice. And the sacrifice, so I'll give you an example. This is the best example I have. I started something called Miles for Mindset 130 days ago. So I've run 1 mile a day, every day for 130 days, and I've timed it. And the requirements for this Miles for Mindset thing, I got this from one of my team members. His name is Brandon. He did it for over 1,000 days, and I was truly jealous. I was like, I'm going to do this. The real reason I was doing it is because I had to make weight, and I was like, I need to burn more calories. But I just kept doing it. So I've done it every day for 130 days, okay? And The only requirement to this miles for mindset is I have to listen to something inspirational, motivational, or educational while I'm running. It doesn't have to be a 7-minute mile or an 8-minute mile or a 9-minute mile. It just has to be I run, I can't walk, I have to jog or run
Okay.
for a full mile. That's the price. It is genuinely annoying. Like I'm gonna do it today. I don't want to do it. Nobody wants to do it.
Right.
That's the price. Here's the cool part. I've run a mile every day for 130 days. Let me share with you how awesome the benefits are. Doing it is awful. It's
Right.
terrible. It sucks. No part of it I ever want to do. I don't even like running. Okay. So this is the sacrifice. Okay.
Right.
The benefits, ready? I look better.
Yeah.
I feel better. My mitochondrial health, I shine better. I literally can run a 7-minute mile like that now. My sex life is better with my partner, monogamously. My everything's better. I look better. I feel better. I am better. My
Yeah.
performance is better. My focus is better. My sleep is better. I even eat better. So this price right here on the left, there is no way around it.
Hmm.
And all these benefits over here that are stacked, you can get for free. But it takes this effort and time that you have no choice. And so somewhere along the lines, I think 11 years ago after the car accident, I just said, Alan, cut the crap. There is no way around. There is no magic bullet. There is no secret
Right.
sauce.
Quick
There
pill.
is there is no quick pill. There is no way around it. You have to just focus on the fundamentals that actually work and do them every day. And when you do, things will compound and you will be able to achieve your dream life. Now, it's not going to happen in a month or even a year, but 130 days in, I can tell you I feel better than I've ever felt. And I'm 37.
Yeah.
I won a fitness competition at 28. I feel better now than I did then. And that's going to keep compounding. And I'm going to do this
Sure.
basically for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's to share the last piece, because your question was about fulfillment. Get around someone who behind the scenes when no one's watching is deeply fulfilled and successful.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get around them, it will rub off on you because you'll realize it's real. You'll realize that they had challenges you don't even know about. My childhood, I didn't come from any background that guaranteed I was going to be successful. Statistically, I'm not supposed to be here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it has to be real life. It can't be just on social media. And that's why we're so big on community at our company.
It's so important. And you're right. I just started this 30 days ago. There's a group of us on a group text chat. One of the guys, it's a bunch of couples and me. I'm not coupled. And we had to do 100 push-ups and 100 crunches every
Nice.
day and then report in. And you could do it anytime during the day. If you needed to split it up, you could do your push-ups however you wanted. But the point is, we did it in community. You
Nice.
checked in like done, and we'd celebrate one another and so on. We just finished the 30 days and now we get to change our exercise if we'd rather do squats or something else, as long as it has the same intensity. I might mention to them that you have to listen to something educational at the same time or informational. That's kind of a fun addition. But there is, to your point, I'm in my 50s, and so, I'm dealing with a lot of the aging process of that, and
Mhm,
even after 30 days, do I love doing it? No, I hated doing it,
mhm.
but I felt a little bit accountable to this group that I wanted to
Yes.
check in with, right? And I'm feeling the difference, and I love the gratification of ticking the box when it's done. So
Mhm.
really, really important. You alluded to something, and I discovered this in my research about you. You talked about people that you're around, which so resonates with me because, again,
Mhm.
positive psychology is all about studying success, not studying failure, right?
Mhm.
You talk about people that around you that either clouds or dirt. Did I
Oh,
pick up
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
correctly?
Clouds and dirt, clouds and dirt.
Yeah, say a little bit more about that.
Well, so all of us tend to go to one or the other. Me, I was the I think of a big brain versus like a big, I don't know, flex. Dirt is my business partner. He didn't understand the theory very well. He was
Gotcha.
not like science of achievement studying positive psychology. He wasn't that. He was in the trades. He would use his hands, didn't go to college.
Yeah.
That dude can execute like you wouldn't believe though. He just
Mm,
doesn't have direction. He calls himself a battering ram. He's like, Alan points me where I gotta go, and I just I just keep going. It's
We
really
all
funny.
need those.
Yeah, we do, exactly. But the point that I'm making here is everybody has to be both clouds and dirt within themselves. And so Kev was execute, 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 but he didn't have the strategy and the thinking and the theory underneath the execution, Paretoing
Right.
Pareto and leverage and all that kind of stuff. He didn't understand finance, earn more, spend less, invest the difference. So Kev was all dirt, no clouds. And there were times in my life where I was mostly clouds, less dirt, meaning I was
Mhm.
theorizing in my head about the perfect workout plan or whatever. And I find a lot of people do that. And it's like, Kevin's running circles around you. If I had to prioritize one, it would be dirt first.
Mm.
And the reason why is dirt humbles you. But you do need clouds too. And so it's very hard to say, like, it's the whole white collar, blue collar, it's the thinking worker, cognitive versus labor.
Yeah.
What I've found as a leader, the hardest thing in the world, I think, is leadership. And the reason why is because you have to be as good in the dirt as your team, but you have to also have the vision and chart the
Mhm.
course
Mhm.
simultaneously.
Right.
So not only do you have to, we call it operator, manager, leader.
Mhm.
You have to be the best operator and the best manager in order to earn leader, and leader has to also have the vision. And so ultimately, clouds and dirt. Clouds is you're always thinking and strategizing, but you never do. All dirt is all you do is do, but you're
Right.
digging a hole that's useless because
Yeah.
you're not going in the right direction. And everybody needs both. And here's the thing: we need the one that is less fun. So I like strategy a lot. I
Yeah.
always have real-time strategy games, that whole thing. There's a game called Stratego I played growing up. It's all strategy. It's
Yes,
called
yes.
Stratego. You know Stratego?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. So I obviously love clouds, but I can
Yeah.
also get caught in the clouds and end up delusional that's not grounded. Kev is all
Mhm.
dirt. He desperately needs to force himself to read some books that are boring, right? Because the
Right.
best books are always the most boring.
Right.
So I was reading on my Miles for Mindset run last night, I was reading a book by David Epstein called Out of the Box. It's about constraint theory. Let me pull it up so that I'm not full of it here. Inside the Box. Okay,
Okay.
David Epstein, Inside the Box. How constraints make us better. Most boring freaking book ever, first of all. And I'm running, right? And I'm used to doing inspirational, motivational videos,
Yeah.
with someone yelling at me, run faster, and Michael Phelps speeches and all this stuff. And now I'm listening to this book going, this is the worst. Like, this is so bad. This sucks. But I made a decision. I sat there, I said, Alan, how much better are you going to be when you listen to books? If you're doing a Miles for Mindset every single day, and let's say it's an average of 8 minutes a day, every day, and you're listening to books, how many books would you get through in a
Mhm.
year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? It's like, ah. Now, I'm not going to do it every time, but I just made that decision. That's what's best for me.
Right.
So I'm going to listen to audiobooks as long as I can, and maybe I'll go back to Michael Phelps speeches one day. But right now I'm focused on books. But my point of that is I love clouds. Kev hates books. He hates books. He doesn't want to read books. He wants to listen to music,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? He wants to put in the work while listening to music.
Yes.
Nope. You got to learn. So some people are all learning, no doing. Other people are all doing, no learning. And you need both.
Right. I'd add to that too that that makes such a beautiful compliment for you and Kevin, right?
Mhm.
Because your strengths are a little bit polar opposite to a degree.
Yes.
You're leaning in, not that you can't be in the dirt, but you
Yeah.
force yourself more to be in the dirt. He has to force himself more to be in the clouds. I have a great self-promotion here. Human capital investment strategy is a little academic. My most recent book that's out. It's all about potential. And it would be great for your combination of not the most motivational thing, but great content.
Okay, I love it.
So there
I
you
think
go.
if your
I'm
book is boring, that means it's probably excellent.
I
I
have to
feel
say my first book was far more interesting. My second book, it's like, yeah, I had a friend read it and she's like, "Wow, that's a lot. There's a lot of evidence and data." And
that
she's
means it's
like,
probably great.
"Yeah."
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a lot. That's exactly how I will. Maybe I will read it.
Yeah,
I
yeah, she's
can't with these
a
books that are
dirt.
just basically stories before bed. It's like we're not
Right.
6 years old anymore. Let's learn something
Exactly.
important, right?
That's exactly right. Well, I want to take just a moment and talk directly to the person listening. We've had such an amazing conversation. I can't believe how fast the time is going by. But what Alan just described has a name in the work that I do and that we do together, and that's potential drift. It's not burnout and it's not failure. It's that quiet erosion of your own belief that you're still capable of becoming more, even when every external marker says you've already arrived. And it happens gradually in a job you're really good at but no longer growing in a version of yourself you outgrew years ago but never formally retired from. The way out isn't a bigger goal necessarily. It's what Alan just named: small, honest, daily direction, intentionality. That's the discipline behind Stop Drifting and the discipline of direction. It's not being more ambitious, it's just being less on autopilot and being more intentional, which is what you've spent your life's work doing. And I'm so, so thrilled that I have literally 100 more questions, Alan, that I could ask you. But I'm going to turn to the question that I ask every guest as we sort of bring things to a close. And that is, you and I both believe in small, incremental change. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be blow up your whole life tomorrow, right? We've listened to this podcast and now I'm going to go quit my job or I'm going to go, find a new partner. It's that small, incremental, over and over in consistency. What is the one small thing you would invite the listener to do today?
I 11 years ago, when I stopped being unfulfilled and after the car accident, the second chance my dad never got, I made a promise to myself. And my promise was I would do everything I could to reach my full potential. I think that decision inside of you, a small promise to yourself is where everything
Mm,
starts. To yourself, nobody else cares if I run.
yeah,
Nobody cares. If anything, they like get all weird when I do it. They're like, seriously? And then they feel inadequate. It's like, no, no, no.
that's right.
Me though, my promise, right?
Yeah.
Self-respect. So pick something. I don't believe you can have self-respect that's authentic and homegrown organic unless you do something hard by choice every day.
Mm,
I think you should make it something to do with exercise. I do. It's what's called a keystone habit. For me, the miles for mindset thing is a good example, but you can pick whatever you want. The 100
mhm,
push-ups thing,
mhm.
anything, you can pick whatever you want, but you have to make a promise to yourself every day that you do not break. And that will build self-belief, and it will build self-worth, and it will build self-respect. Self-respect is not ego.
Right.
People who have low self-respect, who let themselves off the hook all the time, who have no standards and no goals and no dreams, and they still think they're the man, that's ego. We've all seen a guy like that, okay? And you have a lot of women listening. I'm sure they've noticed guys like that. Steer
Yeah.
clear. Steer clear. Seriously. But a man with real self-respect, a woman with real self-respect, it's homegrown from the inside out. And it has to be
Amen.
something you do by choice that is difficult, that you don't want to do. I call it the want, love, hate framework. Very last thing. Want more clients, love one-on-one coaching, hate social media. That's my truth. What do I have to work on? Social media. I want to be in great shape. I love weight training. I do. I hate dieting with a passion. What do I have to focus on? Dieting.
Mm,
Everything you want in life is on the other side of something you can't effing stand. It is what it is. I didn't make the rules. Focus on that thing. You can't delegate it. AI can't lift the weights for you.
right.
AI can't do push ups for you. You got to do something hard by choice. That's it. You pick what it is.
Oh my gosh. That is so profound and such a mic drop. I wrote that down for myself as well. Intuitively, it so resonates. But there's something about the intentionality of that. I'm thinking about it in my work life. I'm thinking about it in relationships. I'm thinking about it in a lot of places where it's like, well, I don't want to do that because even though, because I want this and I love this, I don't love that part. Do something hard, that one small thing. That is brilliant. Alan, thank you. Thank you for your authenticity, for your vulnerability. The way you share your story, um, you're just so open about sort of your journey, not only the tough, hard things, but who you were 11 years ago and prior to that and who you are today. And we're all a work in progress, but I admire the fact that you've taken all of this and you're using it not only to be the best version of yourself, but really the gift that you're giving to every other person who interacts with you.
Mm.
We'll have everything in the show notes, but give us a little 30-second commercial on where people can find you and how they can engage with you.
First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I don't take that lightly. The 21st century is very noisy. So, anyone who's listening to me, I don't take it lightly. Thank you. A
Okay.
30-second thing would be I am not for everyone. I'm really not. And I realized that through massive pain and failure over the last 11 years. Um, but if you are someone who really does want to put in work, like real work, and you have high inward humility, not necessarily outward, because a lot of people think I'm arrogant, but inward humility, like you
Hmm.
want to do the work, you want to focus on fundamentals, you're sick and tired of like fluffy nonsense, get rich quick crap. Like the internet's we in the 90s, this is the last thing. In the 90s, when I was a kid, we made fun of infomercials. Now the internet is an infomercial. So
So,
so
yes.
none of it works, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What really works is work. What
Hmm.
really works is doing hard things by choice. Yeah. So if I haven't turned you off yet, you would like Next Level University. You would like nextleveluniverse.com. We have book club, group coaching programs. We have a masterclass we do for free every single month. We have 10 pound in 10-week challenge going on right now. We're doing another one soon. Reach out. DM me on Instagram. That will be me. It will not be AI. It will not be my executive admin. It will be actually me. And I have to say that now in the AI world. It'll be me.
Absolutely.
So DM me on Instagram if you're interested in being healthier, wealthier, or more in love. And do not, under any circumstances, reach out if you want big rewards for minimal effort, because we're not going to get along.
Love that. I say to clients that approach me with, "Hey, we've got this really broken leader. They're really kind of sucky and they're not nice to people and all of that, and we'd like you to coach them." I'm like, I don't do that kind of coaching. Give me raw talent
Yeah.
and I'm going to give you exponential success.
Nice.
Don't bring me the crabby person that needs an overhaul and maybe a tough conversation. That's not the person I work with. So,
Nice.
oh my goodness. Alan, thank you again. For those of you that have tuned in today or listening to this on playback, reach out to Alan. We'll have everything in the show notes in case you're on a walk or a run or in the car today and you don't have a place to write that down. Be sure to look at the show notes. Reach out if you're ready to do the work and you're ready to put in the effort. Until next time, I've got you and you've got this. Congratulations on choosing to invest in yourself. I know your time is precious. Thank you for spending it here with me. I believe in helping you look up, step forward, and fully realizing your potential. If today's conversation resonated, I'd be so grateful if you'd rate and comment on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And if you know someone who would benefit, please share this episode with them. Let's stay connected. Visit me at dr-cynthia.com, and you can find me on all the socials at Dr. Cynthia Bentzen-Mercer. Until next time, remember, boldly start working on your future today.